What's going on, YouTube? The Last Musketeer here. Excited to bring you part 4 of the Epic 7 free-to-play Is It Worth It series. Oh man, this has been a crazy journey so far, and especially to think about the fact that it's been 3 weeks since the post of my very first video, and the very first video was on Epic 7, so we're getting closer to the part 5, which is the finale of the series. And though it will be the finale, it won't be the end of me posting Epic 7 videos, because I'm enjoying this process. I'm enjoying the community so much, and I want to keep posting on Epic 7. So it'll probably be weekly updates, maybe every Sunday. I don't know that it'll be in the same 7-day format. It may be I'll play as much as I possibly can and see where I can get. So maybe I can get some more footage on like in-game content. I don't think the 4-week time is enough for me to fully scope out what this game has to offer. So on day 15, I decided to start out with the free summon you get per day, and I ended up pulling a 5-star artifact. Now I got Durandal, and what Durandal does is, if you are 75% or less health after being attacked, you will gain a certain percentage of combat readiness. So seems like a really good artifact. Hopefully I can use it somewhere. It seems like it'd be really good in PvE content exclusively. Maybe it's good in PvP, you know, I'll have to test some things around. But the main focus of this day was to try to get as close as I could to finishing all of episode 1, because I wanted to get a little bit of a head start with the full completion before I go into episode 2, so that I could potentially have an easier time before it starts to ramp up in difficulty. Now I wanted to point out on the events, always do your events guys, but most importantly, if you have this headhunting event, you need to do it, because Moonlight Heroes are very hard to obtain, and plus the point shop has some actually pretty good items, so definitely check that out. And another one I wanted to point out was the Hunt Expert Challenge, because Wyvern is such a big focus in this game. Doing this early and getting secret and having a way to farm high Wyvern is going to give you so many sets that you're going to need all throughout play. So many people have told me in the comment section that Wyvern is going to be the main focus, so as I'm going through this video, I will be trying to work towards Wyvern. You may not see much content on it because right now I don't have a great team, but I am building towards that. And going into day 16, I wanted to show you that clip of me beating Sigrid, and this was the boss at the end of part 9 of episode 1, and if you remember, she's the one who handed me my first loss. She absolutely bullied me in the fight, so it was cool to see just how far I had progressed and how easy that fight was the second time through. And do keep in mind that I hadn't actually went out of my way to farm gear. This was just gear that I'd gotten that the game had given me from progressing, so it's cool to see just how much of an improvement you get just based off what they allow you to freely acquire. Now, as you can see, we fully cleared episode 1, so now we're going to be able to start episode 2 and make some good progression there. And the summons that you will see from here on out, I don't go out of my way to use the Sky Stones to buy more summon tokens. I just get them naturally and use them as they go fit, because I don't necessarily need more heroes to bog me down. I have too many to build so far. And I had heard a lot about the Mystic Summons, just how much of a wailing system they are, because if you see at the top, it says 200 summons left until you hit a pity to get a guaranteed 5-star Moonlight Hero. That is absolutely insane. Going forward, getting the Mystic Summons is going to be hard. I'll see where I can attain them, but I'm not too sure how many I'll be able to get to. But I will give you my opinion on that in the final episode of the series. So looking through the events, I noticed on the Arky 7-day growth guide that I needed to beat level 5 of the Automaton tower to unlock a free 5-star summon. So in order to get that done, I needed to go in and beat episode 2, chapter 2.3 to unlock the actual Automaton tower. Now, much like the Abyss, the Automaton tower is kind of where you're descending floors, trying to get as high as possible on the floors. The difference being not only the reward system, but the devices that you get after each fight. Now, these are set up to where you can pick one per round that helps to strengthen parts of your team. So the more you get, the stronger you'll be, the better chance you'll have of clearing the floors. I'm sure that also comes with a caveat of being probably significantly harder, faster than compared to the Abyss. But I've still yet to see that. I'm currently working on it as time goes on, while balancing it with the other content that I'm working towards. So after clearing floor 5, I was able to get that, and I didn't record the actual grabbing of the 5-star thing from the event shop, but I did get Ray out of it, and he seems to be a very nice hero. He's got barriers on the A2 for the whole team. He has a debuff cleanse with immunity and recovers health on his A3, so seems like a really solid hero I can use on probably a majority of my Earth teams. Now I wanted to show you an actual Wyvern fight, and this is only on floor 7 because I can't really go further than this currently. As you can see, I'm using 2 heroes with an element disadvantage. I don't know why Ross is in there. I just probably didn't pay attention to the fact that I hadn't swapped him out, but my tank is also Clury currently, so I would have 3 elemental disadvantages going into this fight. Fawn is the only one that actually has the advantage, but she's not a damage dealer, but she is good for defense down, so she's going to help a lot. But once I get an actual team set up, and I am working on them, I've got Karen, Mui, and of course when I get SC Montmorency, I'll be able to have a good healer for that as well. So by the time I actually get to the next video, I should have a good team set up, and I should be able to farm pretty high floors on this, so I can actually show you what kind of gear I got throughout the week. Now heading into day 18, I wanted to leave a clip of the guild in here. In this clip I have 8 people in here, but I think at the end we had 13, so the name of it is Risen Knight. If you want to join, you're more than welcome to. Now I'm picking up from the Molagora event the Potion of Ascendancy, so I can instantly take any hero to 6-star, so I'll hold on to that and find the one that I want to get when it comes to that point. But we're moving closer to Secret, and she's going to be huge for the Wyvern team I was talking about. So Abyss has been a bit of a wild ride, I guess I should say, up until floor 50, and you'll see me fighting the boss in this next clip. It hasn't actually been that hard. I've had no real problem clearing out a majority of the fights, some of them taking a little longer than others, mainly because I had elemental disadvantage for Vildred, but you will probably notice a significant change in just how hard it is. And I don't know if that's necessarily because I don't have a healer on the team, which is honestly a bad idea, but I hadn't needed one until this point, so maybe that changes when I get SC Montmorency. Only time will tell. Once I get her and level her gear up and get her in a decent spot where I can actually use her, I'll be able to go more into depth on that. But as you can see, we knock out 3 parts of the episode 2 already, so we're almost halfway done with it. So we're flying through this content to be able to unlock a little more content. So we actually got our first loss in the Abyss here, and that was floor 53. And honestly, I think it was probably because I didn't have a healer. Obviously, it's a bad team comp, but before then, you know, I hadn't had a problem with anything, and I don't think I actually had elemental weakness either, so it was more so that I just couldn't do quite enough damage or enough sustain to pass that point. But Clury being the tank and without being specialty changed is kind of just an average tank. She's not that great, not that bad, but she's just kind of there right now to soak damage. But once I get the specialty change, that's going to help me tremendously. And as you'll see, the main ones that take the longest are going to be the ones where you have to eliminate certain individual monsters, like this one being 500 wild plants. Now, as I'm farming these, I'm throwing in the phantasms and potentially heroes that I want to have leveled up so that I'm not wasting farm. I did find out that if you're using a max team, you can get the newbie penguins from completing it, so that's kind of cool in a way to not waste farm in certain areas. But I'm using the repeat battle system. Very cool. So unlock pets as fast as possible. I'm using a pet that actually gives me a chance of getting extra adventure points by doubling it after a fight. And it's only 6.75% chance on mine, but if you get a better one, you'll have better odds. Now, I did summon Politis. I did a couple summons because I had saved up to about 100 something, so I ran a couple. The second one I didn't really get anything good, but Politis from the first one is going to be cool. I'll have to try to incorporate her into an actual fire team and try her out, because I don't actually know if she's any good or not. She seems to have a decent kit, but seems somewhat more situational. So at the end of day 19, I had gotten pretty close. I've got about 100 to go. I need one more level 30 with a Mega Phantasm. And getting the Greater Runes of Spirit Altar is a very short actual thing. And I did find out that the stage I was running to complete the 500 Wild Plants actually also has spirits, which is part of Angelic Montmorency's. So I'm kind of knocking out two birds with one stone, though hers is going to take a little longer based on what I have to do. So day 20, I didn't show the first part of it, but this is actually the stuff you get from the Christmas event, ending in a 5-star hero summon ticket. So they give them out like candy during events, which is great. I mean, obviously it's not going to be a Moonlight. You're going to have a lot less options as far as that goes. So I decided to actually do Moonlight summons. I spent the gold transmits that I had been saving up to try to do a few of these pulls. Now these are a lot harder to come by, but I really wanted to try to get these and maybe pull something for the video, and lo and behold, I actually pull a 5-star on my third attempt, which is absolutely nuts, and it's Operator Secret, and I gotta say, her kit seems bonkers. She seems to be a complete counter to barrier units, in which her passive allows her to ignore 100% of the defense of anything under a barrier. That's an absolutely insane passive, and is probably going to be very crucial for taking out a lot of PvP teams that are maybe like a go second type team, where they do a lot of shielding, a lot of defense, and so she's going to absolutely wreck. So I'll have to level her up and hopefully get her into Guild War and some other content if I can actually get into that. And I know I'm showing a lot of content from the Specialty Change quest. That was my main focus going in, because I wanted to get these teams completed and get them set up for some of the later content that I'm doing. So yeah, you will see a lot. I make a big point of it throughout this, but I decided after getting the Wild Plant part done for Clury, I had to go in and get Greater Spirit Runes. So what better way to do that than trying to attempt Hell Mode on the Ice Spirit Rune? So what I essentially did was, I knew I had 3 really strong heroes for with element advantage to try to take out this. So this was probably my greatest chance of beating one of these Hell Mode bosses. And so doing the actual attempt was actually pretty easy. I do like the mechanics of the boss being that it speeds up almost constantly, so it's getting a lot more turns, and if you let it get out of hand, you're going to have a lot harder time of being able to actually clear it. But if you have a good team set up, you've got good speed, good damage, it's no sweat. It's pretty easy. I don't think they make these bosses too hard. You just have to have an initial good clearing team. So now that I've got most of it done, I just have to reach level 30 with one more Mega Phantasm, and that in itself is actually pretty easy. So what I decided to do was farm it out the last 3 levels, completing adventure points for Ezra. So this is actually the very first chapter of episode 1, so the farming is very slow. You get 4 points per adventure, and I have to get up to 800 rather for SC Montmorency. So a bit of farming to go. I ended up doing it. You'll get to see a trial fight, and I first did this on auto thinking it wouldn't be that hard, and I lost on auto, so I went ahead and did it manually. It was extremely easy on manual. I guess the AI just doesn't really pay attention to who is targeting that well or something. I'm not sure, but either way, we got it done. Pretty simple. I beat Dingo, and she just automatically dies. I don't know the reason behind that, but really you only have to beat Dingo, it seems. So with that done, I finally get to Specialty Change Clury, and I gotta say, it's very cool. The sprite changes, the animation is a lot cooler. I do like her third ability a lot better now. This part of the runes, I didn't really know how the system worked at first, and I'm sure some veteran players are probably watching this part and cringing a little bit. Do keep in mind, I am going to go back and reset it, and hopefully I get the resources back. I didn't actually check, but I thought that I'd be able to fully upgrade each part, and then I realized after I'm going through that, oh, you only really get a certain amount per thing, so be careful with what you pick. It's probably best to look up a guide for something like this and figure out exactly which ones are the best for your hero. Some of them may be a little more situational, but either way, I do enjoy this kind of feature of being able to go in and kind of customize the hero to the way that you want. Alright, so we're in the final day of this video, and I go ahead and do one quick 10 summon with the ones that I have, and only got 3 stars. A bit disappointing, but probably for the best because my luck has been insane so far. Apologies to my guild member Smilo for having to watch me pull all these, because I hasn't had the greatest luck like I have, but hopefully it gets better going forward. But we're getting everybody geared up, getting everybody ready. We finally hit the 804 adventure points I needed, and I gotta say, it was good. It took forever, and yeah, I put a little extra time in because I did have some time as I was off the next day, so I was like, I can put in a little extra time here, get this done before the next video goes out so that I have more of an idea of what I'm actually going to be working on in the next full week. So this one in particular, it was a little different than Clury's. Clury's took slightly more strategy, though it wasn't necessarily that hard. But this one I probably could have just done on auto because really the M King took like 3 hits to kill. It was extremely easy to deal with. And I think some of the other ones probably take a little bit more strategy. You'll just have to see as time goes on. But excited to have both these SCs done, which means I can start to work on some more. And I'll probably for sure work on Ross because everyone's been saying he's one of the best, if not the best, to work on. But I do have to clear episode 2 completely to be able to start his. So that's my plan, of course, going into next week, my main goal. And then, of course, Wyvern. Hitting Wyvern and getting being able to clear a high tier of it so I can get a lot of good rewards is going to be imperative to going forward after episode 2 especially. Commander Lorena was one I was looking at because I thought, well, you don't have a whole lot of options as far as dark heroes, especially early on, so I figured this might be an actual good one to go with for Ross as well, so I can get both of those. I might just end up working straight down the list as they are in order. I think that might be a cool thing because then that gives me something to work for every time until I get the list actually clear. Well, we're nearing the end of this video, guys, and I hope this was a little more concise going forward. I'm going to continue to try to take notes and get myself a little more organized going down the road, so hopefully that will give me the option to make the videos a little more compact and try to put as much information as to my thought processes and what I'm doing, what I'm working towards each week. Here's just a brief overview of what my heroes look like currently, and obviously they don't all have the best gear. They're just kind of the best gear that I've attained through just regular progression, and as I go through more Wyvern and get to actually get some speed sets, some decent gear, I can kind of gear everybody up and show you. Spectre Tenebria is what I got out of the Moonlight Blessing. I decided to change from Arbor to Vildred so that I could try to use her for some of the bossing, because the poison's going to be fantastic for that. So I've got my plans going forward. Next week's going to be a lot of progression, and hopefully I can put it into a decent sized video. But anyway, that's going to be all for me, guys. This has been The Last Musketeer, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.